Welcome to the show. Have you ever wondered how to tap into and understand your emotions and the emotions of others? Well, today's show is sure to spark your interest. Our topic for today is emotional intelligence. Anne Rice, certified executive coach, and our resident expert will be guiding us through the intriguing world of emotions. Welcome to the show, Anne.
Thank you, Jeevee. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Anne, tell us, what is emotional intelligence? We hear this word often. What does it even mean?
Well, our emotions provide us with information, really important data about ourselves and the people around us. Emotional intelligence is the ability to access and use that data to navigate, manage, and perform effectively in all aspects of our lives.
Okay, so why those two words together? Like, what is it about emotion and intelligence put together?
Well, lots of people wonder that because they will say they're a contradiction in terms. They say my emotions make me stupid, not intelligent.
Absolutely.
But I think that's a real misunderstanding. Our emotions can help us think. Our emotions can help us decide. Our emotions can help us problem solve because they're giving us important information.
So when we talk about emotions, what emotions are we talking about? Like, are we talking about fear and love? Like, what emotions are we talking about?
All emotions, fear, love, sorrow, anger, all emotions. So, and people often think they're only experiencing one emotion at a time, but very often we're experiencing more than one emotion at a time. Emotions can be complex, and so there's a huge array of emotions. I happened upon a website the other day that said for free you can print out 3,000 words that connote emotions. So that's just a starting point.
So, Anne, when we think about emotional intelligence, how would you say we could actually utilize emotional intelligence in our day-to-day lives?
Well, let's talk about a career decision to start with. At the UBC Life and Career Center where I teach, lots of people come into my life planning program. They've decided that they don't like what they're doing, but they don't know what they want to do.
Okay.
And so I will say to them, well, tell me what you're interested in. I have no idea. I don't have a clue what I'm interested in. I'll say to them, tell me what you think your strengths are. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm good at. Well, what is really interesting to me is that people are so detached from their emotions. It's our emotions that say, I love it when I'm helping people to solve their problems. I love it when I'm trying to figure out a math problem. Or I hate figuring out a math problem. Or I'd really prefer to work with a team. Or I want to be autonomous. So our emotions tell us what we like, what we dislike, what's important to us, what our priorities are. And so our emotions can guide our decisions, say in a career decision, for example.
So something like, if I'm understanding correctly, if we talk about, say for example, I love to talk to people. And so that, what would be the emotion in that?
Well, if you said to me, I love to talk to people, then I would say love is the emotion in that.
Okay.
And what does that, and then I would maybe follow it up, Jeevee. I'm going into my coaching mode here, and I'd say, what is it that you love about talking to people?
Okay.
And so we would start to explore, what's going on for you when you're talking to people.
So is emotional intelligence just for me? Is it for an individual person, or would emotional intelligence help with dealing with other people as well?
Well, it's one of the core components of emotional intelligence is our interpersonal skills. Okay. So definitely they are critical to emotional intelligence. Picking up on the moods of your family, going into a meeting and sensing that the atmosphere in the meeting is very tense, for example. Yes, interpersonal skills are based on emotional intelligence.
Okay. Now, and I hear some people say all the time that they're just not tuned into emotions, and so can somebody walk into a room and having learned emotional intelligence, like can you learn emotional intelligence?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best things about EQ, that's an abbreviated name for it, is yes, we can learn it. And so the first thing we need to know, we need to do, so if emotional intelligence is the ability to access and use our emotions, then we need to know how we feel. So we need to be asking ourselves, how do I feel right now? And what is that emotion trying to tell me? So the very basic skill is emotional self-awareness, learning to monitor our emotions, and then asking ourselves, what is that emotion telling me?
Now, a lot of people, Anne, will say that feelings really don't have any room at work. Like you put your feelings aside when you feel anger throughout the day, and you may feel agitated about something, and yet feelings are not something that are talked about in the workplace. Are you seeing that changing at all?
I am seeing it changing. There are places that still say that there's not any room for emotions at work, but that's really doesn't make sense, because emotions are everywhere. Whether you ignore them, choose to ignore them or not, they are facts of life. So the smart organization and the smart executives and managers and supervisors and so forth are saying, how can we use emotion in the workplace to help people do their jobs better?
Now, and would certain personality types be more attuned to emotional intelligence or more likely to use it?
I had a feeling you were going to ask me that question, and I don't know of any research right now that says people who are, highly intuitive are more tuned into emotions. I mean, it makes common sense to say that a highly intuitive person is going to have greater emotional intelligence, but whether there have been actual studies that say this is the case, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. So if we looked at emotional intelligence, what would be one of the first things that I could do as an individual that would bring me closer to realizing what emotional intelligence was?
Well, I think the very first step, and I mentioned it earlier, is to start monitoring our emotions. You know, and you've probably heard about Daniel Goleman's book, Working with Emotional Intelligence. Well, he talks about saying that people who are high in EQ have an ongoing awareness of their internal states. And often recognizing how their emotions feel physically. So, for example, if my shoulders are up like this, that may be an indicator. That physical feeling of being tense may be indicating that I'm tense. If I'm snapping at my children, that may be indicating that I'm really exhausted and out of sorts. So EQ starts with monitoring our emotions. Freud had a wonderful saying, so this is not a new thing. He talked about an evenly hovering attention. So just this awareness of how am I feeling right now, and what does that mean? What is the data that's being presented to me?
So that would be the first step in somebody wanting to learn how to be more emotionally intelligent.
Absolutely. It is the foundational skill, because if you don't know how you're feeling, you can't use the information that emotion is trying to provide for you.
And what about if you say you are not, somebody says, well, I don't need to be in tune with myself to pick up other emotions in the room. Like if somebody is agitated or somebody is not happy, I'll be able to pick up that. And why would I need to know where I am at? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that in order to pick up on emotions in a room or at a meeting, you need to have the basic skill of empathy.